So we are going to be talking about your E. And we're going to talk about what that means, and you're actually going to end up writing an essay about it. And the purpose of this essay is to really, for me to get to know the level that you can write at. So communication is super important in the workplace. And so one of our learning goals in this course is to do our best in using proper grammar and expression in all aspects of communication. So this works for me for two reasons, because I get to see your formal writing skills, but I also get to learn a lot about you while reading your essay. And it's actually one of my favorite things to grade because it's so, I guess, personal for you. And so Mr. Tooson is here to actually help us learn about the 3 E's and what that means. And we can kind of just jump right into that. So the essential question for today is, how do you imagine your life after high school graduation day? So you just got your diploma and you are, you have to make some decisions now, or you probably should have already been thinking about those decisions before you walked onto the graduation stage. And so as a middle schooler, it seems really, really early, okay? Like you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I still have maybe 8th grade still and 4 more years before any of this actually happens to me. But the earlier you think about it, the earlier you can start to eliminate choices that you feel are definitely not your path and start to narrow in on the things that you want to focus on and start setting some small goals to help you get to your long-term goal. So, Mr. Tooson, do you have any like introductory things that you want to talk about? Like why the E is so important? Like when I walked into your office the other day, this was written on your board. Could you maybe tell the students like why that was on your board?
So absolutely. First of all, good morning to everybody. It's good to see your bright and smiling faces. I can't wait to meet you all in person. The reason that the 3 E's are on the board is this is kind of a top-down initiative. I know that our superintendent wants to promote the 3 E's, and Mr. Stroud, our lead principal, wants to promote the 3 E's, which are just basically enlist, enroll, and employ, as you see on the screen. But guys, this is year number 23 in education for me, but I remember being in 7th grade and 8th grade like it was yesterday. And there are things that I was exposed to in those years that to this day, I'm happy that somebody brought it to my attention. For an example, there was one project that we had in 7th grade, social studies, and it was how to play the stock market, right? Now, as a 7th grader, I'd never heard of the stock market, hadn't thought anything about it, but a businessman in the community was friends with our social studies teacher, and he came in and he did a stock market challenge, right? And we were all supposed to pick stocks, and whoever stock was the highest at the end of that particular, I think it was like 6 weeks, would get a prize. And so that got us, we had to do research and find out things about businesses and everything. And so to this day, I take those tools that were given to me and exposed to me, and I play the stock market. But in regards to the 3 E's, enlist, you know, people that, you know, we've heard people say that, you know, joining the military, you know, you're going to go off and go to war. That is not the case. In 2010, I had the opportunity to go to Paris Island, South Carolina, for the Marine Corps Educators Workshop. And in 3 days, we did what the Marines do or what a cadet would do in 13 weeks. I found out that if you go into the Marine Corps, number one, you do have to learn how to shoot a rifle. But if you want to go and be in the band or work in the music department, they pay you to learn how to play music. Or if you want to learn how to code and work with computers, they pay you to work with computers. There were kids who were 19 years old making money every month, and they were responsible for taking care of $2 and $3 million jet airplanes, and they were being paid to do that. And so when you enlist, you're not just learning to be a soldier, but you're learning skills and you're getting paid. So the difference between college and the military is, in the military, you're paid to learn, whereas in college, you pay somebody to teach you. So it's a little bit different. But is the military for everybody? Not necessarily, but it is a viable option. Next thing is enroll in college. There's multiple ways of doing this. You can go to a community college, which is Columbus State. Columbus State does a fantastic job of getting students prepared for four-year colleges, giving you a 2-year degree, 4-year degree. You can also, when you get to our high school level, you can take, I think it's college credit plus classes, so you can have college credits upon graduating from high school. That will save you money in the long run because you'll already have college credits accumulated. There are people who graduate from high school and they're already pretty much finished with their freshman year in college due to all of the credits they accumulate. When you decide that you want to go to college, though, you want to go somewhere, number one, that has the program that you're interested in. Number two, is socially a good fit for you and will help you grow and nurture you as a person. And then number three, does the campus have that college feel, right? You want to go somewhere where it looks like a storybook, right? OU is a great place, beautiful campus. Miami, beautiful campus. Ohio State's campus is not beautiful, but it is a nice campus nonetheless. So Kentucky, all of these places, Wilberforce, all of these places have beautiful campuses. It's an outstanding experience. And then last is employability. The school I was at before here was a high school. And I met a guy who said that if he got a freshman, Akron's campus is nice too. If he got a person who was a freshman in high school and got them internships, by the time that they were ready to leave high school, they would be employable by his business. And his business was coding and writing programs for computers. And so employability is just basically when you get to the high school, there are going to be some vocational programs available to you guys where you can get what they offer at Columbus State, or you can get what they offer at any four-year school. And guys, quite often, there are things that are being taught on a high school level that people pay $50,000 a year in business school to get the same information. So you might want to make sure when you guys get to the high school level and start thinking ahead. It's okay to think ahead right now. Think about what you may want to do. You may not want to go to a four-year school. You may not want to go into the military. You may want to do coding, or you might want to be a nurse, or you might want to do anything that's in the vocations that you can start getting that stuff done in high school, and you don't necessarily have to pay for it. You get it for free. That's right. You get it for free 99, FREE.99, and that's the best way to get it. So when we're talking about enlistment, enrollment, and employability, we're trying to get you as young people to think ahead so that you can have a smooth transition into adulthood.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tooson. And I think something that goes right along with this idea of being employed right outside of high school, there's one sort of something to be aware of, which is this idea of minimum wage. Most jobs that you can get as a high school student, someone who can drive and get yourself to work, typically pay minimum wage. And so while it's a great job to have maybe while you're in school or to make some extra money here and there, minimum wage really is not a sustainable life. When you actually calculate the numbers, it's only if you worked every day in minimum wage with no vacation days, full-time hours, no sick days, nothing like that, I think it comes up to like $2,000 above the national poverty line. So the jobs sometimes that you might see at your age right now where you're like, oh, I want to work at Journeys and sell clothes, or I want to work at this store in the mall or whatever. A lot of those jobs are minimum wage. And so those aren't necessarily career sustaining jobs. They're just great ways to get entry level experience, especially learning how to work for somebody, how to, be professional, and how to sort of respond to your supervisors and work with other people. There's lots of things to gain from a minimum wage job, but it's not necessarily the best long-term plan. And so to work right outside of high school, if you're not going to enlist in the military and have them pay for you to learn the skills, or enroll into college or a tech school, which costs you money, you could consider something like CTech, which is who provides this course to you here at Licking Heights. And CTech is basically a way to get your tech school education and credentialing while you're in high school for, like Mr. Tooson said, free. So you get the same thing that you would pay for the day you walk off the graduation stage and you're 18 and you're out of high school. What might cost you a couple $1,000s or several $100s, depending on what program you take, is free to high schoolers. So that's something to really keep in mind. And then once you have those credentialings and those skills, now you're not working for minimum wage. You're working for $15, $20, $25 an hour, because you have a specific skill that not just anybody has when they walk out of high school. You have to go through specific training and exams and things like that. And CTech provides that to high school students. So there's 3 options overall, and your whole, anything that you can really think of requires you to take one of these 3 broad paths. If someone has something that they have questions about and they feel like it doesn't fit in those 3 paths, let me know. I'll try to get you some answers or work that out with you. But some people feel like, okay, I'm going to enlist in the military and then I'm going to enroll. And I have some family members who did that, where they get what's called the GI Bill. So once you enlist in the military, you do that for a few years, and then you can actually request for them to allow you to go to college, and they, again, pay for it. So there are just so many ways to go about this decision process in your life. And some people make this decision at 30 years old, 40 years old, but you will benefit yourself by thinking about this now and starting to make some of those goals and setting some of those goals and exploring. In the worst case scenario, you try something early and you decide you don't like it, and that's totally fine. Let's say you go to CTech for 2 years and you get credentialed in something that you're like, you know what, I just don't really want to do this for the rest of my life. It cost you nothing. Now you can go to college or a tech school for the thing that you've decided, no, I really think I want to do this other thing now. And so this is what we're trying to make you aware of. You're still very young. No one's asking you to write anything in blood or make a life-changing decision, but we're going to compose an essay of what you're imagining yourself as of right now to be doing in terms of your 3 E's. So Mr. Tooson, thanks for joining us. Do you have any last things you want to give to the kiddos?
Hey, again, just happy to see your smiling faces, and I can't wait to meet you guys in person. And thank you for having me, Ms. Gingery. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you later.
All righty. I'm good.
You too.